So I've probably put about 60 hours into this game already, most of it being in the first week, and I think I'm ready and finally at a stage where I can actually review this game for you. Now I want to get into reviews for one specific reason mainly, and that's because I want you guys to come to me as a reliable source for reviewing racing games, because there doesn't seem to be one at the moment. Looking at IGN and GameSpot and such, they don't really give reviews for racing gamers, they just give it for, people that play racing games every now and again. They don't explain what type of racing game it is, they have no clue about cars, they're the type of people that mention Lamborghini rather than the specific car because they don't know what it is, when it turns out it's actually a Ferrari. But yeah, that's the main reason I'm getting into reviews, because I feel I can give you a kind of better overall view of the game. So one thing that sets this game apart from others straight away is actually the setting of the game. So the game is actually set in Europe for once, rather than being in America or somewhere that we've driven about 1 billion times, or reimaginings of America. This is literally in Europe. It's the south of France and Italy, I believe those are the exact locations, and it results in some fantastic looking areas. Everything is bright and colourful about this game. The colour palette is amazingly colourful, and when it begins to rain it's still very, very colourful, but it's the deep dark colours when it's raining, and the colours kind of stand out, and it's just an awesome colour palette I've chose for this game. And obviously, because it's in Europe, they have lots of nice skies, lots of nice water that's surprisingly very, very light blue, which is the strangest colour of water I've ever seen. But basically, it does make a difference over every other racing game we've really seen, because it's very bright, unlike a lot of racers, and it's very colourful, and, it's just a very different location. So along with the new location is the fact that from the last game they've made the world more open. So there's a lot of places that you can see on the map and drive there. And I say a lot because there are quite a few at the same time places which are blocked off. Now, some of them you can understand why they're blocked off. Some of them are such as highways, and some of them are massive mountains with lots and lots of trees on it, and places you wouldn't really imagine to ever try and drive up anyway. But it's a shame when you see something and you're like, I can't drive up there. When you're being told that you can pretty much drive anywhere with no invisible barriers. You can see from races alone in gameplay that there's a lot of stuff that you can't drive to, and it just makes the world feel a little less connected and feels more like a game. Sometimes you'll kind of come to a jump inside the map, you'll do some awesome, you're going at high speed, like 200 miles an hour, flying down this off-road section, go up a jump, expected to an awesome landing, but no, you hit an invisible wall above a pool. It doesn't even throw you in there and show you a crash camera or anything like that. That would be good, that would be fine. But no, it just stops you dead at the wall, your car flops to the ground, and you drive away. It just disconnects you a little bit. I can understand why this is the case, like, you don't want people just driving into the water and such, but it just feels a little bit lazy, on the lazy side, because if they did that, there would be a lot more to explore on this map. Looking at the map itself, it looks quite big, much bigger than the last Horizon, because you can drive anywhere pretty much on the map, with major limitations such as big rocks and mountains and, well, big forests and such that they don't want you to drive through. The way the events are set up is you start at the kind of center. It's got a prologue, you do the intro. If you've played the demo, you've actually seen the intro already. That is the introduction, except you get to choose between 3 different cars. Those 3 cars are pretty high up, actually, on the performance chain, and what you get from one of the first races in the game is a Ferrari. As you've seen in a lot of videos, that's literally one of the first cars you get in the game. Within like the first half an hour of the game, you've got that. I wouldn't even say half an hour, I'd say like 20 minutes, which could be looked as a bad thing or a good thing. It shows you that the game is very rewarding, the fact that you're going to get some cool cars from the beginning, but at the same time it feels as if it gives you it way too early, and you feel as if it's spoon-feeding you these things when you really want to earn them. And that's one thing that's kind of matters to me a lot. If you give me a lot of stuff for free and a lot of stuff easily, it's going to become annoying. But I'm happy to say that there is a good-ish balance in here. It's not as good as some of the older games that you've seen, but it is quite difficult to earn big money on this game. It's not as difficult as Forza 5, for example, because that was a grind and a half, but this game is, let's say a car can cost about $1 million, like a Bugatti Veyron, for example, and I want to save up for that car. I've got multiple ways of going about that. So what I could do is do lots of races again, which are going to bank me about 10,000, 20,000 each race, and then if I want to go online, I get 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 4 races in an online road trip, and then I get a 30k bonus, and as I level up doing any of those things, I also earn a spin. So every time you level up, you get a spin. It never becomes harder to level up. So you spin this, I think it's called the wheel spin, or if you've got the VIP, it's the VIP wheel spin. You spin this dial every time you level up, and it gives you a reward, which is either a car or some money, which is a good way to keep me going, keep me leveling up, and giving me a reason to level up. Because there's a lot of games in where once you get to the max level, or past a level that's really, you know, accepted. So say for example GTA Online, you get to level 120, you get a minigun, that's it. Nothing else is unlocked after that level, which is really, really disappointing. But at the same time on GTA, there's lots of things to unlock for, you know, killing a certain amount of people with a certain gun, that sort of thing, which keeps you going even past that level. What Forza Horizon 2 does is give you rewards every time you level up. You get a spin on the wheel. Most of the time, you're going to get absolute jack shite, but a lot of the time you may also get something very, very worthwhile, such as a car, such as an LFA at one point I actually got. So the event structure is basically this. You start at the festival and you choose which event you want to do. So that could be any type of car class. This could be JDM Classics, it could be supercars, hypercars, muscle cars, new muscle cars, it can be off-roading cars. You can basically picture what there is. There's everything in there. So you choose which type of car class you wish to race in, you pick a car for that. If you haven't got one, it suggests ones that you can buy, then you race. There's no set PP limit like there is in Forza Motorsport 5, but they kind of level themselves to you. Now, at first I kind of worried that this may affect the AI's difficulty, but it actually doesn't. It actually they level with you very, very well. They stay in the same range as you PP-wise, and if you kind of upgrade your car during the tournament, they'll carry on upgrading themselves. There's no limit. You can keep going as much as you want. You can basically fully upgrade a hatchback and still race it, and they will be absolutely fine. But I warn you straight now, like straight away right now, once you start upgrading the cars, the AI become very difficult unless that car is all-wheel drive and ridiculously gripped to that road. When you go to Unbeatable, it becomes unbeatable. At first on the demo, from playing the demo, it seemed very, very easy to put it on Unbeatable. I could, take the whole race in the first lap, pretty much. But then I actually got to later on in the game with some low-end but upgraded cars, and it came to my attention that I was going to get my face smashed in multiple times by the AI's difficulty. So I actually kind of put it down now to about highly skilled, and sometimes I still do lose events. So it's quite interesting what they're doing with the AI, which I would say is still some of the best AI. Not as good as Forza Motorsport 5, but they do seem to be more randomized than they are in Forza Motorsport 5. They seem to be more aware, more human, that sort of thing. Because of the drive-avatar idea, that probably helps as well. But honestly, the drive-avatar thing seems to mainly only just affect the visual appearance of the car. They do seem to all pretty much still drive the same, except the odd mistake every now and again. But they're difficult. Forza has always been big on car culture, choosing any type of car you want, making it low-end, high-end, whatever you want to do, engine swaps, drivetrain swaps, tuning, that sort of thing. And I'm happy to say that all of that stuff is inside this game from Forza Motorsport 5. Now, you will notice instantly that the handling model of this game is in no way simulation, not even close. You can slide anything that you buy straight out of the shop. You're not really going to need to tune it. Tuning does affect how the car handles and feels, but I wouldn't say it's as significant as you would want it to be. When I've kind of slammed cars a lot of the time, they drive off-road just as well as cars that are, not slammed at all. and you have stupidly high suspension. So you think the stupidly high suspension would help you off-road, but no, sometimes lower suspension helps you a little bit more off-road. And that also brings me on to the fact that when you drive off-road in this game, it actually doesn't slow you down at all. Like, it's actually seems a little bit easier to drive off-road at times, and you feel as if you've got a bit more control off-road. Obviously, there is a bit of a change. You bump around a lot, which kind of affects your handling. Your car slides to the side a lot, and you know it feels as if the road is wet or something. But it doesn't ever feel like it's off-road, and that's kind of one complaint I had. Not only that, but when you're actually doing a race that's on the track, you actually get told by the actual driveline itself to cut through corners because it will save you time by driving off-road and such, which once again doesn't slow you down. Some cases actually speeds you up driving off-road, so it encourages you to cut these corners, and when you do, it's just so unfair when you've built a car that's, you know, low end to the ground and it's just cutting through these corners. It just feels like a bit of an annoyance. It doesn't ruin the game completely on single player. On multiplayer though, it does annoy me a little bit more, but it's not game breaking, it's just a little bit annoying. When you complete the game, one thing I noticed is that the replayability of the game is very, very good. In the sense that if you like to keep grinding the same races over and over again, then go ahead. So one thing that came to me when I beat the game is to beat the game properly, you have to complete the game twice. And by that I mean you do the races, you do all the showcase events, there's like 5 of them, and then you do the final race, which is about 15 minutes long. You do that race, and then the guy's like, hey, you should race me next time. And you do all the races again and again and again, the championships like you did before at the beginning of the game, only to do the same final race and get less money than you did doing it the first time. And then once you've done that, guess what you get to do again? Do the same thing. You're basically then at that point at the end game. The end game allows you to choose which location you want to go to, and you click there and you choose which type of car you're going to be driving. So once again, your JDM Classics, your hypercars, your supercars, your off-road cars, your muscle cars, you choose which one. It sends you to that location, you do 4 races, that's a championship 1. Do about 17 of those, I believe it is, and you've got to go on the championship once again, do the championship, and you do it all over again. Now, that would be fine if the races were actually different. As I said, you can't choose hypercars. Let's say I choose a Mclaren P1 and I choose the hypercar class in this area that's got lots of road. I will tell you straight away, this game is going to tell you you should do this off-road race in a Mclaren P1. Now, if I pick a Mclaren P1, I don't particularly want to take it in an off-road race, but just let me tell you this, the Mclaren P1 is apparently one of the best handling cars for off-road. I drove this thing and it's absolutely insane off-road. It's the best off-road car on the game that I have tried so far, and I've tried the big off-roading cars, but this just takes the cake. But my main complaint here is, if I chose a hypercar to do a race in, I chose the hypercar class of events. We do not want to go off-road. Do not send me driving through fields in a McLaren P1. In a Local Motors Rally Fighter, sure, understandable. Totally understandable in every single way. But this is not McLaren, this is not a Local Motors Rally Fighter. This is a McLaren P1. This is a Lamborghini Aventador. This is a muscle car. You know, even that should be allowed to go off-road. But it's very randomized, the events. The events all feel very samey in the locations, and it doesn't feel as if there's enough variety end game to keep you going. But if you layer on top the ability to crazily customize your cars in this game, such as you can change the vinyls with 3,000 layers on each side, I believe it is, and you're able to download other people's designs, and you're able to make your own tunes for your cars, which adjust how they drive, how long the gears are, how much it slides, how much it grips to the road, and then you're allowed to add spoilers on, and for some cars you're allowed to add on, new front bumpers, rear bumpers, side skirts, and you're allowed to upgrade the performance of the car, so you can increase the power of the engine, you can increase the power of how the car, pushes forward, you can convert it to rear-wheel drive, to all-wheel drive, you can convert it to front-wheel drive, back again if it was a hatchback. There's a lot of damn stuff you can do to your car to make it do a lot of things, and I think that's where this game shines the most. The ability to, once you've finished the game, jump online and be able to join your friends in online free roam and set up a drag race with your friends, set up a drifting session, tune the car on the fly to adjust what you've got. You know, it's just a really awesome feeling. What's good about that as well is the fact that you can actually buy cars in the multiplayer and then tune them and upgrade them in the multiplayer and just carry on as in that. So that, you know, allows you to create your own games as such. You can get your friends to drive a rally fighter and drive across the field while you're going around the map in a hypercar to see who can do the job first, and allows you to create these Top Gear style challenges that games don't usually allow you to do, such as Need for Speed Rivals, where it locks you off, and that's really the only next-gen racing game to compare it to right now. So basically, Forza Horizon 2 is a solid title, but it has a lot of flaws. The handling model is very easy to get into, but that annoys me in the fact that I literally jumped into the game and I've never turned traction control on in this game, because every car is way too easy to control. Even putting your finger on the trigger, it accelerates like crazy. But at the same time, that makes it accessible, and it means lots of people can jump in and play with us. It has the ability for us to convert cars to all-wheel drive and such, and you know, there's no way to limit people using all-wheel drive in sessions and such, which is good for me because I prefer to drive certain drivetrain, which is one negative I had about Forza Motorsport 5, locking people to use specific cars. You're allowed to use any car you want. You're allowed to upgrade your car in any way during the campaign. If you get a muscle car at the beginning of the game, you want to fully upgrade that thing and swap the engine out and make it a V12 hypercar, you can do that. And you can continue racing against other muscle cars, and they will have upgraded the same way that you did, and you just keep progressing and progressing. Do I see this game lasting a long time? I see it lasting until the next Forza Motorsport. I don't see it lasting, say, as long as GTA Online. I don't see it lasting as long as The Crew. It has potential to keep you going, but with the fact that they released DLC a week after launch, that shows you their intention that this game is not going to last long. They want to get the DLC out pretty damn early, and they want it to be kind of like they want you to buy the next Forza Motorsport when it comes out. But honestly, I feel as if this game is the best Forza yet. Now, keep in mind that I've only played a bit of Horizon 1, I've only played a bit of Forza Motorsport 4 and the other ones, but the main game I've played is this one on Forza Motorsport 5. And out of these two games, I would say this blows Motorsport 5 out of the water completely. The best way to compare this game to anything would be to say that it's pretty damn close to an old school open world racing game, such as one of the older Need for Speeds and such. But at the same time, it's kind of lacking a lot of things that those had. It feels very empty after completion. And the multiplayer seems to be the only part that's going to keep me coming back for more once I've actually beaten the game and such, because I've played a lot of the damn game and I'm very, very bored of the location now, and I'm very bored of doing the same races over and over. So I would, in the next game, like to see more variety in the map. I'd like to see, say, like the Crew's variety. Say, for example, you'll be able to drive up mountains in the Crew. You'll be able to drive on the salt flats. You'll be able to drive in the desert. You'll be able to drive around the city streets and the mountain roads and the highways and pretty much any way you can imagine. But in this game, you're limited to roads that try and throw you off at every corner, and lots and lots and lots and lots of trees and fields. That's pretty much it. But I would say this game is worth buying if you have an Xbox One. I would highly, highly recommend it to any racing game lover at all, simulation or arcade. I'd recommend this game to anyone at all that has an Xbox One. If you don't own an Xbox One, is it worth getting an Xbox One for? No. I don't think it's worth getting it for this game specifically. It doesn't hold enough value for you to really throw your money on one system to be able to play this game alone. But if you have the extra money, I'd recommend you get this. But what I would suggest is you actually look at some other games as well that you may want to pick up, such as Sunset Overdrive. Maybe if you like Forza Motorsport, then you can pick it up because it's going to be like a yearly cycle pretty much now. So other than that, I think that's pretty much my review, and I would say pick this game up if you enjoy racing and you own an Xbox One. That's pretty much how I'm going to wrap it up. So Hopefully you found out some information on this review. I know I didn't really go into major depth, but there's a lot to really cover in the game. If you want to hear more about the game and my thoughts on it in total, be sure to let me know down in the comments. But pretty much I've talked about the main points I wanted to talk about today. But hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.